Okay, good.
Good evening. It's 7:30, Thursday, July 17th, 2025. I'm calling the Clawson Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Nick, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Carpenter,
Here.
Mr. Hildebrandt, Ms. Perkins, Ms. Cindy Smith,
Here.
Ms. Diane Smith,
Here.
and with 2 regular members absent, I'm going to call Mr. O'Rourke to be a voting member tonight. So Mr. O'Rourke?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of regular meeting minutes from June 18th, 2025. Those were included in your packets. Are there any discussions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes as listed in our packet.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay,
We do need a second.
okay. If I could get a second?
Support.
Okay. We have a motion and support. Nick, can you please call the roll?
Mr. O'Rourke,
Yes.
Ms. Cindy Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Diane Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of a request for a temporary use pursuant to City of Clawson Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 34, Article 10, Section 7.19, Temporary and Portable Building Uses, Structures and Special Events for a location at 71 West 14 Mile Road for Clawson Auto Sales. Joe, can you tell us about the case?
Yes, I can. For those not familiar with me, my name is Joe Tangari. I'm with Peoples Webster. There we go. For those not familiar with me, my name is Joe Tangari. I'm with Giffords Webster, the city's planning consultant. So we're looking at 71 West 14 Mile Road. This is a vacant site and is on the south side of 14 Mile Road between the place with the big shoe on it and the old Harp store. For those of you who are trying to orient yourselves. Site is about 16,900 square feet. That's assuming all 3 parcels there. And the proposed temporary use involves the storage of vehicles for 1 week, timing it with the Main Street Car Show. So there are 3 parcels here. The ZBA may wish to confirm with the applicant that the use is for all 3 of those parcels and that all 3 of those parcels are indeed commonly owned. So the temporary use requirements of section 34-719 cap the duration of a temporary use to 6 months maximum. The applicant states that the planned duration is from August 7th through August 13th, so they're clearly under that 6-month maximum. Being a storage use, there's not going to be hours of operation necessarily, but you can still talk to them about what the plan for activity on the lot is going to be. There don't appear to be any temporary structures involved. There aren't any curb cuts onto West 14 Mile Road. The site is accessible from the city lot located to the southeast of the site. So you probably want to talk to them a little bit about how they're going to get these vehicles onto the site and off of the site. Also, you might want to confirm whether the vehicles will be moved in and out of the lot throughout the planned duration of the use, or if it's going to be the same vehicles on the site the entire time. And then the applicant did represent to Nick that they intend to store 30 vehicles on the site. So you may want to discuss the quantity of vehicles with them, confirm that that's still their intent. So we've got a sense of how big the lot is, if it's all 3 parcels, it's 169 feet wide by 100 feet deep. So 2 rows of 15 vehicles would very realistically fit onto the site, particularly if we compare that to the way that we dimension parking spaces in our zoning ordinance. The surrounding properties to the east, west, and north are commercial properties zoned city center. And then to the south, we have single-family development that is zoned core residential. They did provide a completed application form and a plot plan outlining the request. And we had not heard back from the other departments at the time of the staff report if there were any issues. I'll let Nick speak to whether or not he heard about that, but I don't believe, I know I saw that police responded and said that they did not have any issues with it, so I don't believe we've heard anything from any other
There do not
departments.
seem to be any other concerns. And pending approval, the fire marshal will also take a look at the site just to make sure everything's safe for the community. But of course, it's just vehicles parked on a vacant lot for a period of time.
Right. We did put the review standards for temporary uses from section 719 of the zoning ordinance in the letter for you. If you wish to discuss any of those with me, I am very happy to do that. Conditions may be added to an approval to protect the health, safety, welfare, and comfort of inhabitants of the city under your ordinance. So considering approval or denial, you always have to cite your findings for approval, denial, or postponement in your decision. I know this board is good about that. If the board wishes to approve the temporary use, you might consider a set of conditions such as a maximum number of vehicles, conditions on access, and that the temporary use should adhere to the application material and plot plan provided by the applicant and shall not increase in size, scope, and the 7-day duration or beyond the 7-day duration that was requested unless otherwise approved by the ZBA. Do you have any questions or discussion for me?
I do have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a letter of approval or a rental agreement from the property owner?
I believe he did sign the application that was submitted from the applicant, and I've spoken with the property owner, and he's aware of it and comfortable with the use on his property.
And he does own all 3 lots. That is, there's those 3 parcels there that we have confirmed that he
That's
owns
been
all 3 of them.
confirmed, okay.
Yeah.
Because I looked at public records, and on our application, we're listing an owner's name of Rafael Mahmoud.
Correct.
But when you look at public records, it's listed as Hikmat Mahmoud.
That is Rafael's father, and they co-own a company together. So I'm not even.
In fact, he doesn't own the property, his father does, so there should be some type of an agreement or something, I would think, for us to have as a security that the owner of said property is okay with it, in my opinion.
I mean, again, I did speak with the property owner, and Rafael at this point manages almost 99% of their development activities. His father has gotten older and is dealing with some health issues, and so Rafael's managing everything. So I know that they are comfortable with it, but if a request to the ZBA with a condition of approval is to have them provide a signed agreement, I think that would be certainly acceptable.
Okay. Well, typically when we offer temporary use for, say, a firework tent, we would have a rental agreement or some type of agreement between the property owner and the requester, correct? I think we should follow that same trend. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's all I have.
That's a good point.
Or a letter of agency be requested as well.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the board for our planner or Nick? Okay. Is there somebody from the applicant wishing to speak?
Sure.
Okay. If you just approach the microphone and state your name and address.
Bob White, Clausen Auto Sales, 62 West 14 Mile Road.
Thank you.
Nick, when we talked before, you said between 25 and 35 cars, because our inventory changes daily. Would that be okay? Would it be acceptable?
That would be something that they'd have to confirm with.
Okay, all right. Questions?
Well, I guess if you could just maybe explain what your plan is
Okay.
for that particular
We-
week, and then we can ask
Yeah,
questions.
we help out with the Clausen Lions Club. You know, it's a big event for this county. And so we get the cars across the street. We've been doing it for years. And we've never had a problem before. The cars are not for sale. They're just there for storage. Our business is open, but it's really just for people coming for the party. We do bring the vehicles in through the back of the shoe repair place, and they exit there also. Our staff is the only ones that move the vehicles.
So these are the same vehicles that would typically be stored on the auto sales lot, and you just need a temporary storage so you can host a party?
Correct, and it normally takes about 3 days. Since we're in contract, we figured we'd ask for 7, weather permitting or whatever.
Thank you.
You said you've been doing it for years, is what you're saying?
Yes,
Nick, have we not issued a temporary?
No, that, it did not come up, and last year when they were there, the vehicles were already moved over there, and then had a conversation with Bob White that in the future we'll need to make sure we go through the proper protocol. And there was conversation with police, and so they were aware of it. But obviously going forward, we want to make sure we're doing the proper procedure.
Okay, cool.
And then a quick question for our planner. When we are looking at the 2 rows of 15 vehicles in accordance with our parking development, would 2 rows of 18 vehicles netting 36 fit?
You'd probably wind up with an additional partial row at that point, because I think you've got about enough room for 16 vehicles in a row next to each other. Given that their staff is moving them, they may be parking them a little closer together too. But
And I do believe there's more depth that they can provide more than just 2 rows.
yeah, there's 100 feet of depth there, so they would have additional room to add a partial row
And
somewhere.
if nobody's driving them, you don't really,
correct, yeah. And you could probably go 5, 6 rows. There's deep enough to do that, but
Yeah, especially if you're not.
we're not going to
leaving
have the
maneuvering
cars for
lane.
that.
So the intention is just to move them there, and then they're not going to move at all.
Correct, and
for
it
those
should
3
take
days.
3 days, weather
Okay.
permitting, okay?
Okay, okay.
have we heard anything negatively from the surrounding businesses that would be impacted at all?
No, I just had one call, and they were curious about what the exact use would be, so I explained it, and they were absolutely fine. So there was nothing either way, positive, negative, so typically that's a sign that people aren't too interested.
Okay. Thank you.
So what's the event that's actually taking place at your, is it at your store? Is it another car show, or is it?
It's part of Clausen. We support them, we put cars, friends, I'm in a clerk club, so we have friends that bring cars over and actually have it in the show on Main Street and on our lot also.
Okay. Cool. That's 3 days long, you said?
No, the show's only for Saturday,
Okay.
but it takes about 3 days to move the cars back and forth.
And the show's actually on the 9th, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, pretty soon.
So realistically, it'll be 3 days, not 7. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Since Nick put us under contract doing the right thing, we decided to go 7.
A little more
Give you a little-
flexibility.
Yeah,
Yeah, give you a little bit more flexibility.
because we know Michigan weather, right?
Right.
So again, when you walked up here initially, the paperwork said 30 vehicles, and you had mentioned another number. Remind me what that was again?
25 to 35.
Okay.
And I believe Nick and I talked about it, so we
Yes.
figured 30 was right in the middle.
And I think I meant to have approximately 30, just knowing it was in between, so it's right in the middle of that range.
In the past years, we never had any issues with damaging the grass or anything when you move them in or out, or rainy day or something?
No, and I've always got approval on that also.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
I'm good.
Any other questions? Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Okay. It is 7:46. I'm going to open a public hearing for this case. Is there anybody here wishing to speak on this case from the public? Okay, seeing no one wishing to speak on this case, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:46.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for consideration for a temporary use pursuant to the City of Clawson zoning ordinance, Chapter 34, Article X, Section 7.19, temporary and portable building uses, structures, and events, special events for a location at 71 West 14 Mile Road for Clawson Auto Sales. Given this, we want the following conditions to be included. Number one, the maximum vehicles not to exceed 35 to be stored on the site. The vehicles shall not access the site from West 14 Mile Road. And the temporary use shall adhere to the application material and plot plan provided by the applicant and shall not increase in size, scope, and the 7-day duration from August 7th through August 13th, 2025, unless other approved by the ZBA. And also looking for some type of an agreement between the father and son and the requester, Mr. White, to make sure that we have everybody's intention in writing somehow. Anything you guys like to add?
Looking for support?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and support that motion.
Okay. Nick, before I call the vote, should I let the applicant know about our short staff, or our short, since we're down a or down a member?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. White, just to let you know, this is a 5-member board, and we have one person missing today, so we're only 4 today. And the vote would have to be, majority. So 3 out of the 4 of us would have to vote in affirmative. And you have until we take the vote if you want us to table it until next month.
And
Okay. Okay, all right. Confirming Mr. White was okay with us going ahead for the vote. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Nick, can you please call the roll?
Miss Cindy Smith,
Yes.
Miss Diane Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
and Mr. O'Rourke.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. All right.
Have fun.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Be
White.
safe.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of a variance request from the requirements of Section 5.14E to permit a parking lot obscuring wall lower than 30 inches in height at 330 West 14 Mile Road, Key Bank. Joe, can you give us a rundown of this case?
Yes, thank you. Yes, so they are requesting a variance from the requirements of Section 514E of the zoning ordinance to permit a parking lot obscuring wall that is lower than 30 inches in height at 330 West 14 Mile Road. That site is Key Bank. You may have noticed it was recently repainted. Site had a low-lying parking lot obscuring wall for many years. However, that was removed by the bank last year. Because of that removal, it's no longer considered to be a non-conforming condition. Any new wall would be required to follow the ordinance, which is why the variance is being requested. The application documentation states that the wall will be 18 inches in height, but will be used as a planter bed and contain plants that create a visual height of 30 inches. So the standard in question basically says that if you have a parking lot fronting on a major thoroughfare, which 14 Mile is, an obscuring wall has to be placed along the street property line and can't be lower than 30 inches. And also cannot be more than 3 feet in height, so 36 inches. So between 30 and 36 inches, measured on the outside of the face of the wall from the grade to the top of the wall. The wall, there's some appearance standards too. The wall has to be covered by brick masonry on both sides and have a stone cap or suitable substitute cap approved by the Planning Commission. All other properties on the north side of the block between Custard and Washington have the same B1 zoning that this property does. There are a number of parking lot obscuring walls in the area. There are also a fair number of sites that are non-conforming, most likely developed before that zoning requirement existed. The applicant provided a written statement with the application outlining the context of the request. Security and safety really are the driver of their request. They have a corporate standard for a maximum wall height that so they're kind of trying to thread the needle between city requirement and their corporate requirement. The stated reason for the corporate policy is that there's a lower risk of ambush for employees and clients if you have a wall that's too low for someone to hide behind. There do not appear to be any other variances necessary in relation to this request. We did place your criteria for review of variance requests in the letter. If you want to discuss any of those, I'm very happy to do that. But a summary of the variance is that they are looking to permit an 18-inch tall parking lot obscuring wall that functions as a planter bed, which is lower than the minimum 30-inch requirement of Section 514E. If you have any questions for me, I'm very happy to engage with them.
I have a question for you. So the wall in front of Hungry Howard's, which you provided a picture of, was that a development prior to the ordinance, or was that a variance that was given?
That was, did they get a variance for that?
That was a few years before I was involved, but I don't think they got a variance because I did review. So I'm inclined to believe that it was before the ordinance was in place, but I don't know for certain.
Yeah, it may also have been viewed at the time as a reduction of a non-conforming situation or something along those lines, but I couldn't confirm that.
Because it appears that that's exactly what they're going for, that exact design.
I do believe they were somewhat inspired by that design, yes.
Now, I do remember the other picture that was given to us of there used to be a Jet's Pizza down there, if there still is still there.
Underneath.
I'm quite sure we gave a variance to that development.
Okay.
Did you find that information?
I did not.
Okay.
And I did not go through all the cases to look, just because each case is viewed separately. So we don't want to necessarily compare because,
Okay.
their argument may be different than theirs, et cetera. And so while it may be relevant, it's not something that should really be considered.
Okay.
So, I guess my question's in the reason, the rationale of the origin of this ordinance. I mean, if it's a parking lot, what exactly are we trying to protect? Are we trying to protect people from the parking lot driving into the road, or vice versa?
I believe there are several motivations behind this type of standard. One of them is aesthetic, softening the appearance of a parking lot by putting a barrier in between the parking lot and the public realm. Another is creating a separation barrier between a place sidewalk where people might be walking and the maneuvering area of vehicles. Someone pulling into the parking space would have to go through the wall to get to the sidewalk. There is also a safety driver behind this type of standard, which I've actually seen specifically cited in ordinances before, which is that having a barrier there lowers the ability of headlights to shine into the street and get in people's eyes. Of course, this is a bank, so they're probably not going to be open at night. But that is also a reason that I've seen cited for this type of standard.
Okay. My only complaint is, I understand the, the reason in that regard, but oftentimes the gas station is one that they end up getting, damaged and left in a decrepit state more often than not in some of these cases, especially the Jets Pizza, and the gas station. So, just curious if it's for an aesthetic purpose, it might be the opposite. So,
Yeah, generally speaking, we have pretty constrained areas. Usually you want to have at least 2 feet between the pavement and the wall so that vehicles can't get all the way to the wall. They did create some separation here with their design.
Okay. Do you know why the original wall was removed?
So Key Bank has been going through some internal renovations. They painted their building, and then they were doing some other landscape improvements. And so I had a call come in that someone was removing the wall there, and stopped by, spoke to the contractor there, got in touch with the folks from Key Bank and the contractor, and they weren't aware that a permit was needed, et cetera. And so that's where this transpired. And it was, I want to say, probably sometime earlier this spring that this happened. And so once we had that discussion, they were more than happy to work with us on following the right protocol. I think just because they felt landscaping didn't require the plans, they started the work, but they've been very easy to work with since that initial conversation.
Okay, so it was.
Yes. Yeah, so the work was started before initially, but right when we had that first conversation, they've been very easy to work with.
Okay, so they originally, the
They were-
wall, my question, the wall wasn't damaged.
Correct, they were
They took it out for
replacing it.
landscaping purposes.
Yes.
Didn't know that was our ordinance.
Correct, and I'm sure the applicant can confirm that or shed some more light on that.
Okay, okay. Okay. Is there any other questions for our planner? Okay, is there somebody here representing the applicant wish to speak?
Yeah.
Okay, if you could approach the podium and state your name and address.
I'm Robin Sickrup. I'm the facility manager for corporate real estate that maintains all of, excuse me, our properties in the state of Michigan, Northwest Ohio, and Northern Indiana. We initially started the landscaping project because of irrigation issues. The landscaping was draining towards the building and rotting the wood. Thus the reason we took everything off, recladded it, and painted it. The landscaping wall, the retention wall between the parking stalls and the sidewalk was actually damaged from people hitting the wall with vehicles that were too long for the parking spaces. So that was really the reason we were tearing it down. After some of the stall stops, there were stall stops before they would get to the wall, just to create a barrier so that they wouldn't hit the wall. I apologize. Michigan weather for a Northwest Ohio person, a little verklempt. So, although I am a Michigan fan, just FYI. Go Blue. Not that a lot of my fellow schoolmates will follow me in that. It has made a fun rivalry for over these years. So the intention was, because we had so much rain, a lot of it damaged what we already had planted in there the year before. I wanted to replace it once we corrected the irrigation issue, and at the time, we were going to just take the wall down and plant a bed of foliage and flowers until we were addressed and said that we had no idea, even my landscaper didn't know, that we were required to put a wall, replace the wall. So we stopped construction until we were able to put together the plans that could accommodate the budget I already had prepared the year before. We all know budgets. There's only so much money in the budget, and I do work for a bank. So with that said, I reached out to my landscaper. We looked at the neighborhood and saw some opportunity to enhance the beautification part of it while also utilizing our irrigation system to maintain that, so that, again, during these times when we have a lot of rain and then followed by all the humidity, that they don't die. So we were going to make sure that our irrigation was within the planter beds so that it would maintain a colorful wall with the brick that's chosen that you see, or the tumbled stone, excuse me, and the cap. Replacing the existing footprint of the original ugly red wall that was falling apart.
So initially, what was the plan? Take down the wall and put plants there?
Right, I was going to put a bed of bushes and flowers to bring color to it because our colors have changed to red, white, gray, and black. Previously, the building was maybe a salmon,
Yeah, it was kind of
ugly baby poo color.
tan salmon.
Yeah, let's just say salmon, sounds better. So with that said, we had remodeled the branch as well, enabled to enhance the customer's experience with other products that he can offer. So we expanded the interior, did all the upgrades, new roof, new HVAC system, everything was replaced, and I was able to get that funded all for this year, finishing with the landscaping. And I also redid the signage, which we had to come in based upon changes in code for our signs. They had to be made smaller, and those were just recently installed earlier this year.
What type, I don't think, unless I've overlooked it, what type of greenery will go in there? Because if we are looking to build a wall to prohibit, I guess we said it was lights from going into the street, it's winter time, it's dark at 5 o'clock, you still might have patrons leaving. What's gonna be in there is it gonna be just
So-
branches, or is there gonna be some type of evergreens in there?
Yes, my landscaper, Davy Tree, what type of foliage are we going to have in there?
We have grasses and hydrangeas.
Grasses and hydrangeas. So grasses will still be present, they just won't be green, but, you know, they do come back the following year, so they don't die off. Are those ones that we cut down, or do we?
We'll cut them down in the spring.
So that, and in the springtime is when the days get longer.
Right. Okay.
So they bush up more, but they still give us the line of sight that we need to make sure that if there is anything that happens, it can be identified quickly by our cameras and our personnel within the branch.
Can you speak to what your corporate standards are for, I think you're alluding to it, what the corporate standards are for
Right.
KeyBank and this kind of
Right.
wall?
Right, so our corporate standards go from the exterior of the building to the end of the property, and it's mainly based upon line of sight for our physical security. Nothing that anybody can hide behind or use to store any weapons, or grab someone and hide them behind any sort of bush, tree, fence. We try to keep that open, what we call line of sight. Anything that goes above the windows, we trim down so that there is more line of sight than what would be considered shade from a tree. We try to keep them so far away from our building, keep the bushes so far away so that, again, no one can hide behind them. As a bank, we have had and do have on a regular basis incidents that transpire with either disgruntled customers, someone coming in. We just had the other day, someone come in and try to create check fraud by coming in and trying to cash checks, and it was a non-Key Bank customer, in which the local police had to be called.
So does Key Bank, where did the 18 inches come from that's being requested? Is that Key Bank's minimum or maximum height?
So based upon the line of sight from the distance from the interior of the building to that, it's enough so that someone can't hide behind it unless they're laying down. And if someone's laying down on the other side of the wall, someone from the street's gonna see it, and we're hoping that they would come and tell someone or tell the police, hey, someone's hiding behind there, or they have a weapon or whatnot. So it's based upon distance, line of sight, as well as making sure that the vegetation on top of it has somewhat of an appearance of being able to see through it, or in between the vegetation that's planted there.
So is there actually a number? A height, or is it just what you think is,
Anything above 2 feet. So something that someone could not crouch down behind. So they're taking someone of average height. How high would that have to be for someone to crouch down to hide behind in order for them to come out and no one see them?
18 inches is basically the block material that we were gonna use.
Can you, if you're going to speak, can you just approach the microphone, state your name and address?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Laura. I'm with Davy Tree, 5323 Dixie Highway, Waterford, Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
So 18 inches comes into play. That's what we were requesting because that's the block that we're going to use to build the wall/bed. If we do it in two blocks and then the topper, it would come to 18 inches. So that's where 18 inches came from. Robin had said that it needed to be under 2 feet for corporate standards.
Okay.
It's something based upon a person.
Can you just make,
Sorry.
this is all being
I
like
apologize.
recorded, thank you.
A person of standard height, not being able to, kneel or crouch down and, without being seen.
Okay,
so that number though, through your corporate policy is.
Is 2
20
feet.
Below 24 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question. If I'm visiting Key Bank and I'm driving a big pickup truck, and I'm not a very good pickup truck driver, am I gonna run backwards over an 18-inch wall?
We will have new stall stops so that your truck won't go past that, because our branch manager had one of those long bed white trucks before he transferred to another branch. And he was one of the ones that was constantly hitting the wall because he kept pushing the stall stops, so.
Okay,
But when we put those new stops in, those will be anchored by rebar driven into the asphalt and ground.
okay. Thank
So
you.
I'm not gonna spend all that money and then let someone hit it. I'm gonna try to prevent them from hitting it.
I'm just worried about little Susie walking down the street behind, some big old pickup truck, thinking it's one of those like parking blocks type deal.
So the plan to add this new wall, was it like a reactionary to the city coming in? Because I know you took it out.
Right,
the
we took it
plan
out because it
originally-
was falling down. It literally was a hazard because it was cracking everywhere and brick were already had fallen out from it on
Right.
both sides of the wall.
So she said she was gonna plant plants, and then Nick
Bushes
came knocking
and-
and
yeah.
said, no, you need a
Okay,
wall.
All right, I'm clear now, okay.
What was the height of the original wall? Like, was it conforming or?
No.
Nick, do you know?
It wasn't,
No.
it wasn't 3 feet.
No, it was probably, at a conservative guess, it actually stepped a little bit because the grade of the site kind of goes up toward the east. So there was a point in the middle of the wall where it went up and over. But I'm going to guess it was probably roughly in the 18-inch range on the western portion of the site. And it was probably a bit taller than that on most of the eastern portion of the site, probably more like 2 feet. Maybe a little above that. And in the middle where it went up, it was definitely a little above that. But it was kind of varied based on where it was on the lot.
And like, so what's the, like, are they allowed to repair that?
Repairing that would have been, yes, would have been acceptable under the ordinance, yeah.
The cost of the repairs for the wall outweighed replacing it.
Yeah, that
With
is-
How is
something,
it like a solid repair different than just a replace? Is it?
So typically, we use 50% as a benchmark, and so if it's less than 50% being repaired, you can repair that structure, but if it was 51% of the structure being repaired, then you'd have to conform to the ordinance.
it was way more than 51%.
Right,
Okay.
I was just using that as an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So I have a question for Joe. If one of the if one of the concerns of this ordinance is to shield lights, onto oncoming traffic, would 18-inch, obviously it sounds like they already had 18 inches there.
Roughly, yeah.
But would 18 inches, headlight, I know a big truck would go over that, but a normal car, is that below 18 inches, or are we talking like 2 feet?
A normal car, like a sedan, is probably going to be around 2 feet. I mean, a lot of SUVs these days, their lights are almost 60 inches off the ground. It's crazy, but yeah, a sedan would certainly be around 2 feet. Yeah, a sports car is going to be probably blocked by the 18 inches. If you had like a Mazda Miata or something like that, it would definitely be down there.
And with the plantings as well, it'll shield part of the light above that 18 inches. It's not gonna be a full blocking like the wall would do, but the landscaping will definitely shield part of the light if that becomes a problem. And they do also have significant parking on the property outside of just right in front of Key Bank. And so there's other areas for folks to park as well.
Right, we have side parking and rear parking as well. And most of the front parking is handicap parking. So the span that's in front of our front windows is mostly handicap parking. There's 6 large handicap stalls. And then only a couple of stalls are used by the customers. Everybody else usually parks on the side of the building.
Okay.
And our staff parks on the side of the building as well. I'm trying to get them to park in the back, but nobody wants to park back there anymore.
Now, if we approve this, it doesn't have to go through the planning approval or anything, right?
No,
You
it
just
doesn't.
jump into it and start building.
This would be the only approval they need, yeah.
Yes, they would, of course, have to apply for a building permit and get that approved, but they wouldn't have to go to another board.
Okay.
So right now, on a safety level, right? In the nature of
Right.
the business, safety is
Right.
very concerned.
With any financial institutions, safety is number one priority. being a financial institution such as a bank, we are at a heightened risk for fraud and ambush, as we call it. It happens on a daily basis, and because I support 3 states, I get notifications every day. You wouldn't believe how regular that happens because we're able to stop it before it goes any further or before anybody gets hurt.
In terms of the construction, so this might be a question for the representative from Davie. Is this, is the construction of this wall, is it a mortared masonry system or is it a dry stack system? I guess what I'm asking is, what's the integrity of the wall actually? Is it going to actually serve its purpose as a safety barrier?
So they are the unilock blocks, and yes, they will have the mortar in them as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's going to be a
Besides-
sound structure.
Yeah, besides the.
Can you just approach the?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Besides the dirt that's going to sustain the plantings inside of it, that's going to solidify it, and honestly, they're going to damage their vehicle before they really push that wall over. What we had before was not a very wide wall, and there was only rebar holding it up, so a lot of it was compromised, and you could see over the years, I took over 3.5 years ago this territory, and just in that short amount of time, my branch manager did so much damage with his truck. Now that he's moved to West Bloomfield, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And honestly, our customers, a lot of them use a drive-through, use online banking, and most of the customers that come in have smaller vehicles or are elderly and don't really have those high-end lifted vehicles.
So you have, you meet or you check the box of somewhat of a safety barrier. You check the box of somewhat of a, blocking the lights. Question remains is the variance for the height. The height comes down to a conflict of corporate policy for safety. Okay.
And for the physical security requirements, so that goes hand in hand with the corporate policy.
Yep, right, okay. Okay.
I do not have any more questions.
Any more questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. It's 8:18. I'm going to open up a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak on this case? Okay, seeing no one in the audience wishing to speak on this case, I'm going to close the public hearing at 8:18. I have a question for, I guess, Nick. If we grant this and they're using the plantings as part of the 30 inches, getting them up to 30 inches, what kind of recourse does the city have if they don't take care of the plantings and it just turns into dead stuff?
Well, landscaping is required to be maintained under our ordinances. So if someone does have really ratty landscaping, we can approach them about a blight issue essentially and require a replacement. But we've done that a few times with trees that have died on newly developed sites. We're going through that with a site right now.
Yeah.
And there have been other examples as well where things are just clearly dead or just looking very ratty.
Well, I would consider this more of part of the basis for approval of the variance is that extra height.
Sure.
And it's not necessarily that it's just kind of looking ratty. You know what I'm saying?
So if I could recommend that a condition of the approval would be that the applicant must maintain a certain height above 18 inches of landscaping. And that'll do 2 things. One, require them to have, X height of additional on top of 18 inches. And then also if they're not, code enforcement has a specific point that they can call out to when they're issuing, if they have to issue a letter or moves on to a ticket, et cetera.
Okay. Because, if something ever happens and Key Bank leaves that location, the variance would stay with that site, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I think we would need to put some sort of,
Yes, so
Now, is there a maximum height we should list? Like overgrowth?
wouldn't
I
it,
don't-
wouldn't it be 36 inches? Because,
Yeah, 36 inches would be the maximum height for a wall. So if you were going to set a maximum height, I think you would set it there.
Not to exceed, so applicant must maintain the greenery plantings not to exceed 36 inches.
Or to a height between 30 and 36 or something like that. I think you might want to acknowledge that the grass is going to be cut down every spring, because that is necessary for the maintenance of the landscape. So there will be a period where the grass is certainly not going to be that tall because it gets cut down. It grows back pretty quickly, but there'll probably be a couple weeks there where the grass is not going to be that high.
okay, so how would you recommend we would word that?
Applicant must maintain the plantings from between 30 to the 36 inch requirements, with the maintenance, understanding that items will be trimmed down in the spring.
I think
Yeah.
we'd be able to work with that.
Yeah, exactly. With the
Okay.
understanding that things will be trimmed in the spring. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
I don't. Are there any other questions? Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the variance request from the requirements of section 5.14E to permit a parking lot obscuring wall lower than 30 inches in height at 330 West 14 Mile Road, Key Bank. The reason of review criteria for the variance per section 34-7.15.d of the zoning ordinance, a non-use dimensional variance may be allowed by the Zoning Board of Appeals in cases involving practical difficulties when the evidence in the official record of an appeal supports the following findings. 1, the practical difficulties are exceptional and peculiar to the property of the person requesting the variance, which results from the conditions which do not exist generally throughout the city, and that goes back to the safety of the bank employees. Second, the practical difficulties from which result in a failure to grant the variance include substantially more than mere inconvenience or an inability to attain a higher financial return. Again, we're going back to the bank security. Number 3, allowing the non-use dimensional variance will result in substantial justice being done, considering the public benefits intended to be secured by this article, the individual hardships that will be suffered by a failure of the board to grant a variance, and the rights of others whose property would be affected by the allowance of the variance. In accordance to the previous wall, this is very similar in height. Given the additional greenery, it's going to give more height as an obscurance from the parking lot to the sidewalk to the road. Number 4, the variance did not arise from the actions of the applicant or previous landowner. The property is what it is. And number 5, the requested variance is not based solely on financial need or circumstances. Again, security. The board will find approval for the variance to permit an 18-inch variance to permit an 18-inch tall parking lot wall, obscuring wall at 330 West 14 Mile, lower than the 30-inch height requirement section of 5.14E. Additional condition, based on the applicant must maintain the plantings from between 30 inches to 36-inch max requirement, noting that the maintenance of the plantings will need to be trimmed down in the spring.
Okay. Cindy, would you mind on item 4, The variance did not arise from the actions of the applicant or previous landowner. Would you mind if we added that the wall was damaged and needed to be replaced?
No, we can add that.
Okay. The existing wall was damaged and needed to be replaced.
For safety. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other additions?
Okay.
Second?
Well, we have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So just to let you know, that, as I said to the previous applicant, we're a 5-member board, we're 1 member short. Okay. Are you okay with us going ahead? Okay. Just acknowledge that the applicant said we could go ahead with our vote. Nick, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Diane Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. O'Rourke,
Yes.
and Ms. Cindy Smith.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're gonna love it. It's gonna be beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, the pictures look very nice
It's
and,
gonna look way better, 100%.
Yeah.
In person.
yeah. Well, thank you for
Keep up
your,
great work.
thank you for your investment in Clausen.
You're very welcome. We own the property and we have no plans of going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay, all right.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public discussion. Items not on the agenda, so seeing nobody in the public, I'm going to assume there's no items from the public to discuss. Nick, any other business?
Not this evening.
Okay, thank you. Nick, anything on the staff report and training opportunities you wanted to discuss tonight?
Just a few quick things. I apologize, I couldn't be at the last ZBA meeting. There was a conflicting joint workshop between the City Council and Planning Commission. So I did provide the report, and there was one question that came up, I believe, regarding 248 Red Ruth, and that the variance was approved in March of 2023, and it's still outstanding. So we did have a progress check with our building official, and he met with the property owner. The property owner has had some difficulties with the contractor. I'll leave it at that. And so they're working on finding a new contractor to continue the work. And so they've been in active communication with us. We're aware of the issues and delays. So there's no problem on that site. In the staff report, I also removed the variances that were approved and the project was completed. They've been in there for a few reports. So I would just want to try and make sure it's relevant to you and the active developments going on in the city. Next month, we do have a case on the August 21st agenda, so just make sure you have that on your calendar now and that should be expecting a packet the week before. And pending any questions, that would be my report this evening.
Okay, 3 months in a row.
3 months in a row. After quite a period without any. Aiden shows up and
I know,
get
we
busy.
put him to work, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else for tonight?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, could I have a second?
Support that.
Thank you. All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know the bylaws, but how many meetings can somebody miss before they get removed?
I believe it is three.
Three consecutive.
Three consecutive, with it being unexcused, and so, there's obviously